Being the son of immigrants in Boston, he learned to embrace all cultures. What many people don't know is that when they shut down Ellis Island, they opened up Strasser Ave. It is not unusual for any of us to wake up on any given morning and find yet another visitor with an accent in the house. He welcomed into his home hordes of Irish, Canadians, French Canadians, English, Swedes, Ugandans, Ghanaians, Haitians. Did I mention the hordes of Irish? Italians, Japanese, Germans, Iraqis, Lithuanians, Koreans, and this is just a partial list because they maybe cut it short. But it mattered not what race or creed. If you called from Logan, you were assured of a ride and a bed. Travel. To my father, travel was another compulsory course in your education. At 15, he shipped me off to University College Galway in Ireland for a summer course. Poo-pooing my reservations of being slammed into university courses as a 10th grader, he simply said, "Just tell everyone your early acceptance at Harvard." Each of us was encouraged to backpack for Europe. He often said 3 months of travel was worth a whole year in university. And you know, that revolving door of foreigners at 91 Strasser sure paid off when you needed a place to flop in Paris. My father relished, though, the tales upon your return. No, wait, he'd say, start at the beginning. You got off the plane. After footing the bill for education and travel for 6 kids, it really was a pleasure to see my father plan and take off on his own detailed trips with my mom. Always the instructor, when visitors were collected at Logan, they were often spirited off immediately on the tour, which predictably included John F. Kennedy's birthplace in Brookline, followed by the cemetery tour of Holyhood in Brookline, where the Kennedys are buried, and St. Joseph's in West Roxbury, where the Fitzgeralds are buried, next to the Nees. The next day would be the main tour: Rye Beach, York Harbor, York Beach, Gunkwood, Kennebunkport. These were all towns where he had often worked in the summers. Last summer, though he struggled to walk, he discovered, with MJ's help, that he could still drive. The very next day, upon hearing that his Irish housemate, Kathleen, had never been up the coast of Maine, donned the tour guide cap, took Mary and Kathleen in the car, and off they went to show her Maine's beauty. Mary Jane said it was like watching a kid take off on a bicycle for the first time. Free at last, thank God Almighty, he shouted as he went rolling down the street. His spirit of generosity, however, was not limited to international visitors. He and Mary were regular volunteers at the Pine Street Inn each Thursday. As a board member of Don Bosco High School, he worked tirelessly to save the institution in the face of fierce opposition from the Boston Redevelopment Authority. He taught accounting courses to prisoners at Cedar Junction Maximum Security Prison. He was a regular volunteer in the Catholic Conversion Program, mentoring adults on their journey into the Catholic faith. He taught the confirmation program here for teenagers. We couldn't figure it, some 30-odd years he taught it here. Thursday nights, he would barrel in from work, run past his dinner on the table to his awaiting students in the basement. For the past 10 years or so, he ran Summerhill House in Norwood, a home for crisis pregnancies. Every Mother's Day would find him and my mother in front of St. Catherine's in Norwood, selling roses to raise money for the women and babies there. Mentoring his children and grandchildren by recruiting them to stand in front of other area churches doing the same. 3 years ago, he and my mother went to Haiti to volunteer for a hospital there. They spent their entire 3 weeks there dispensing fluoride to children up in the poorest mountain regions. Never one to speak ill of someone or to gossip. One of his favorite sayings was that he didn't like to traffic in tragedy, or the ever-present, "Now let's be charitable." Charitable would be a great segue to truly describe my father. He sent money to charities that reached far and wide. Marian Old Sisters, Covenant House, Center for Bioethical Research. Several years ago, when they were in Florida, I stopped by the house to collect the mail. I was so taken back by the number of solicitations that I actually wrote down each organization on this piece of paper. 41 envelopes in 1 week. I guess these were the appeals from the people whom he could not give time to. So as we all reflected on his determination, even while he was ill, to attend his grandkids' athletic or musical performances, and as we all know, the grandkids are not always in every scene or in every quarter of the game, but it was in keeping with his character to teach them in his remaining time how to face dying with dignity. As my sister Carrie said, you can't die with dignity unless you live with integrity. As word of my father's death spread, calls and emails poured in. Sweden, London. One email arrived the other day from Paris. Roland Ferrari, one of the many French visitors that came through, was recalling in exquisite English, acquired during his stay at 91 Strasbourg. And I quote, "His paternal kindness, his proverbial pieces of advice, his thoughtfulness toward the evolving youth. I remember him as somebody mainly concerned to give reliable footsteps to the next generations. I feel sad to say farewell to Uncle Should, but I am comforted when I imagine him dozing off with a feeling of accomplishment, having transmitted his qualities to his numerous children and grandchildren." And so, in ending, I'll put my father's words of gratitude and farewell in the language of my father's father. Daddy, I guess